Making tough new choices. The Sagittarius New Moon. This lunation asks one simple, uncomfortable, but burning question. Is the path you're about to choose worth the weight it will ask you to carry? You may feel you're standing at the start of a demanding road. You may sense the need to choose differently this time. The new moon brings a quiet but serious beginning, one that asks for honesty. For some of us, this lunation is a 27-month lunar gestation story, demanding endurance and a deep, honest look at the burdens that you carry. This new moon in Decan 3 of Sagittarius asks you which commitments you're finally ready to release to lighten your burden. If you're feeling this call deeply and want to understand exactly where this 27-month cycle lands in your life, I can help. I'm Sonia, your host from Celestia Astrology, and I offer personalised readings that map this energy to your natal chart. Alternatively, you can join my community, Celestia Circle, where workbooks will provide all the tools you need to track these moon families yourself, but it also comes with live guidance in meetings and community support and tracking templates. You just need to upgrade your subscription to paid to join us, or message me with your questions. For this new moon, I'm going to look at the immediate action, the rituals and journal prompts that you can implement right now, the 27-month vow, understanding the moon family cycle, the final climb, a deeper dive into Sagittarius, Decan 3 and its meaning, the weight you choose, wisdom from the Ten of Wands and the Horse's Skull, the Decan in verse, an excerpt from Dreaming the Decans, T. Susan Chang, the Sky Conversation, how Jupiter, Saturn and Neptune are shaping this new moon, and embodying the Decan and mindfulness, some simple practices for resilience. The new moon doesn't arrive with the drama of a revelation. It comes quietly with a blank and dark sky offering a simple choice. What will you carry into the next 28 months? Or maybe the next month or the next 6 months? And what will you leave behind in the last cycle? You might want to journal on one or two of these questions. Which burdens am I about to carry into another cycle, either by default or habit, without conscious choice? If I'm honest, which dream no longer fits who I've become? Where am I ready to begin again, but differently this time? What would a sustainable version of my vision look like? What support do I need to avoid burnout over the next 2 to 3 years? Where am I confusing difficulty with meaning? New moon ritual, choose the load. First, list your commitments. Write down all your current burdens and commitments, include your projects, roles, responsibilities, relation dynamics, and even internal expectations. You might be surprised at how much there is. Mark each one with each of 3 labels. Carry for those that are still aligned and worth the effort for you. Complete for those that you're ready to finish and begin to phase out. Or release for those for which the time has come to lay them down. Make a vow to yourself. Choose one carry commitment that you're willing to build a 27-month vow around. Write a simple sentence beginning with, for this moon family, I commit to, and complete it yourself. And then release the burden. Choose one of your release statements. You might wish to burn, shred, or bury its written name. As you do that, say something in your own words. Maybe something like, I release what no longer honours my path, to make space for the work that does. And finally, place your intention. Place your carry intention somewhere where you will see it regularly. This will now be a conscious agreement with yourself. The new moon is seeding a longer story. A new moon is the conception point of the cycle. It marks the dark sky, the invisible moon, and a shift that begins inside you long before it shows outwardly in the world. Multiple things are happening at once here. You are starting a short 28-day cycle from one new moon to the next new moon in this part of your natal chart. Another longer cycle begins, which grows your intentions to culminate at the full moon in Sagittarius in 6 months. But for those who have natal placements activated by this moon family, and I'll go into those later, they are also initiating a 27-month moon family. This is a longer story arc that will unfold in 4 stages in the same part of your chart. This longer cycle is a concept introduced by astrologer Dietrich Pessin as a lunar gestation story, or moon family. With this Sagittarius III moon family, whatever begins now is a storyline running until early 2028. The people whose charts will be activated are those whose natal charts have planets or angles around 23 to 29 degrees of Sagittarius, but also Gemini, Virgo or Pisces, the mutable placements. This moon family is likely to be more significant for you. Also, the late degrees, 23 to 29, of the other fire signs, so that's Aries and Leo, as well as Sagittarius. These will be the themes that you'll be living with, working, testing, and re-choosing several times over the next few years. So the dates of this family are this new moon on the 20th December at 28 degrees of Sagittarius is the conception of whatever this storyline is for you in the area of your chart that Sagittarius falls in. The first quarter moon will appear in the same area of your chart on the 18th of September at 25 degrees of Sagittarius. This is the crisis and asks for action. It's a push to make adjustments. The full moon will come on the 19th of June 2027. The moon will be at 27 degrees of Sagittarius, and this will bring a culmination and revelation. And the last quarter will still see the moon in the same area, and for each of these phases, the sun is moving into a different position, but the moon is always in this part of your chart. So it's the relationship with the sun that brings the different phase. And the last quarter comes on the 17th of March, 2028, 27 degrees of Sagittarius. And that's a release and a reset where you decide what you wish to carry forward into the next cycle and what you're going to release before you move forward. An astrologer or astro coach can help you to work deeper with this. I offer personalized readings that map the moon families to your natal chart from celestiaastrology.com. Alternatively, my Celestia Circle workbooks will provide all the tools that you need to track these moon families yourself when you upgrade your subscription with Substack. If you're not sure where your sun, moon or rising are, just comment with Decans and I will ask privately for your birth information to give you this information so you can follow with your own moon families and you know which Decans they fall in. The fire of Sagittarius, vision on the move. Sagittarius is mutable fire. Aries brings us the first cardinal initiating spark, which is sustained at the fixed, steady hearth of Leo. Sagittarius is the flame that travels, the wildfire that leaps, always looking for higher ground. It is adventurous, meaning-seeking, and restless for a bigger story. Ruled by Jupiter, the generous, wise sage, Sagittarius wants the kind of truth you can only learn from life experience, through travel, in conversations, and through lived experience. At the time of this new moon, the quest is about to begin anew. You may not even have decided on the form of the adventure yet. The question might be, what am I willing to live for next? A new moon in Sagittarius invites you to align your intentions with your beliefs. In the third decan, that invitation comes with a palpable sense of weight. Sagittarius III, weighty beginnings. This decan is co-ruled by Saturn and the Sun, a challenging combination of Saturn, the planet of restriction, decay and time, with the Sun, our life-giving luminary of will and vitality. Saturn, the Lord of Time, asks for sustained effort, structure, dedication and discipline. The Sun, symbolizing our light and our eyes, brings warmth, illumination, direction and purpose. In this decan, big philosophies and beliefs will be tested and have to prove themselves out in the real world. We find that the philosophical fire must confront the material burden of realization. Dreams are heavy when we must carry them uphill. Here the wild, often untethered, optimism of Sagittarius finally turns serious when confronted by Saturn, just like a performance review of sorts. The dream gets legs, and those legs will get tired. This is a place where beliefs must meet endurance. We must dig deep into our resilience. At the new moon, we are far from the summit. We are just beginning to make our plans, looking up, knowing that it will take time and commitment. Saturn and energy. Sun, astrologer Austin Coppock, calls this Decan horse's skull, symbolizing the worn-out body after a long pursuit, the exhaustion and cost of a grand vision, while evoking the imagery of endurance, death and drive, and a relentless need to move forward no matter the cost. He writes that they must choose the burdens they will bear to the bitter end, and which are not worthy of such feats of will and endurance. Kira Ryberg calls it resilience, highlighting the need to persist with integrity, drawing on deeper inner resources. She writes about the traditional definitions by ancient authors, which interpret the conflict between Saturn and the Sun as they represent the two different options one finds in the final decan of Sagittarius, the glory of finishing the marathon and the exhaustion that follows. When one is tired, weak, hungry and exhausted, they are more likely to enter into a state of defensiveness and hostility, for they have likely been beaten down by some oppressive force. A new moon in this decan cautions us, before you sign up for the next marathon, check in with yourself. Do you still want the medal? The Wild Way Oracle calls this decan all or nothing and offers the powerful keywords weight of the world, determination, and will and endurance. The oracle image on the card is the wildcat resting in the snow, allowing flakes to settle on its head. It's not at the very beginning, and it's not quite at the end. It's at that pause where you gather yourself and decide whether to go on. From the Wild Way Oracle Guidebook, just like the Sagittarius III wildcat, you've almost made it. The end point is in sight, but in order to get there, you must give everything you have left. Be aware, though, that great hardship must be worth the end result. Do your goals justify the burdens you must endure and the sacrifices you must make to reach them? Now is the time to decide. This is a decan of tests and existential questions. Saturn asks you, will it be worth it? The Sun asks, do you still believe? You are at the crossroads but can see the finish line ahead. Rest a moment while you make your choice. The message is clear. You already know how hard this kind of path can be. Now is the time to decide if you're willing to make this choice. The Ten of Wands is the tarot card for Sagittarius III. It depicts a lone figure carrying a heavy bundled load uphill, shoulders hunched, burdened but resolute. He can't see clearly where he's going, but he is committed. The work is almost done, but it is punishing. This is the moment of overextension, going further than you ever have before, of leaving your comfort zone far behind, of doing too much, but also of taking responsibility for your dream. The ones he carries are both his burdens and his ambitions. The card shows the cost of success, the final push, the weight of responsibilities accumulated over time, and the tension between endurance and collapse. It warns against martyrdom, but also honours the sacredness of commitment. Are you weighed down by duties that you or those around you have outgrown? T. Susan Chang calls this decan the weight of the world, and writes that this decan can be our greatest victory, the final forging of our legend, or that we can combust, or even both. She points out how awkwardly the wands are being carried, obscuring sight and so precarious that some will imminently drop. But where? Will we choose, or will we wait for gravity to take its course? At the new moon, the question becomes, what load are you choosing to pick up? Which one are you finally going to stop lifting? And what is obscuring your sight? This lunation is asking for a sacred commitment. In Dreaming the Decans, T. Susan Chang captures the spirit of this decan in verse. Rising up on sacred smoke, ambitions I have held and stoked. Flames inspire or consume, advance to victory or doom. Accept the burden without rancour. Forge the chains of your own anchor. Bent beneath that worldly weight, what you suffer, dedicate. Do what thou wilt, do what thou must. fulfill your dreams lest they combust. This verse highlights the effort and burden we find here. The Decan sanctifies it and finds the sacred in the work and ambition. It highlights the potential for huge wins or loss, and cautions us to proceed only if the dream is worthy of the sacrifice, and warns our dreams may combust if we don't take the risk. Under this new moon, the question isn't whether something is difficult, it's whether it's devotional. The astrological aspects, the conversations in the sky, will shape and inform this beginning. Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius, is strong and exalted right now in Cancer. However, its rays of support cannot see the moon in Sagittarius from this position. You may not feel or get the benefit of that usual Sagittarian buoyancy or external luck this new moon. It's also retrograde. It may be that this growth is turned inward instead. The support is indirect, and therefore the beneficence comes through more subtle knowing, such as emotional intelligence and intuition. Your inner counsel becomes far more important than any external cheerleader or feedback, and you're being asked to trust it right now. You may take longer than usual to act or decide. With Jupiter retrograde, much of this process is internal, reviewing beliefs, reevaluating goals, and turning inward for reflection and guidance. The new moon in late Sagittarius squares Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. The moon has already met Saturn and carries its seriousness and weight. It now applies towards Neptune, moving from hard realism into dream, fog, and longing. The square highlights the friction between the mutable Sagittarius and collective Pisces vision and Saturnian reality. It forces the need to test out what will be truly livable and manageable and not just inspirational. They provide the tension and the weight of the wands that we are trying to carry. Saturn demands clarity in what you commit to. Neptune requires sincerity in what you believe and asks, what do you believe in deeply enough to sacrifice for? Will you sacrifice some wands for clearer vision? Together they create friction with the new moon that refines your intention and advises if you're going to start something here, make sure it's not built on fantasy or self-deception. We have a stellium in Sagittarius. The Sun, Moon, Mercury and Venus are all amplifying the focus on fire and vision. Your intentions now must be both flexible and sustainable. Mercury in Sagittarius thinks in big, bold strokes. It prefers story over fine print. Allow Mercury to help you frame your why, the grand vision. You can refine the how later. Venus combust in Sagittarius means our values, relationships and desires are being purified and recalibrated by the heat and light of the sun. We are reviewing which ones to carry. What is important to you? It may not be clear yet, and that's okay. Venus also applies to a square with Saturn. That combination suggests tests of loyalty, commitment and worth. It brings honest reflections on whether a relationship, a project or a creative path can go the distance. What we like and love is being tested. What might you experience? Not everyone will feel this lunation at full volume. Those with mutable placements at 25 to 29 degrees may feel this most strongly. But if you look out for these, you may notice a sense of quiet seriousness, perhaps about your plans for the future. An awareness that certain goals will require real sacrifice if you recommit to them. An urge to draw a line under the old way of doing things. Subtle but powerful shifts in belief or worldview. I can't do this like that anymore. Questions about whether you've been choosing the hard path because it's meaningful or because it's familiar. The desire to change how you commit, not just what you commit to. The wildcat meditation. Relax and tune into your breathing. Release all the tension you are holding in your body. Visualize yourself as the wildcat in the snow at the start of a long journey. The snow falls quietly and softens all around you. The landscape is still and quiet as you breathe. You can sense how demanding the terrain ahead will become. Feel the alertness in your body as you're weighing up the road ahead. Ask yourself, do I still want this kind of path? What will I need to do differently to survive it? What must I not carry alone? How is my body responding? When you feel ready, return and take one small physical step in the direction of your chosen commitment. Maybe send the email, open the document, schedule the rest, ask for help, or something else. Here are a few other simple ways to work with Sagittarius III in your body. Walk with intention. Take a deliberate long walk with a specific intention or question regarding the new moon in mind. Notice where your body says yes and where it quietly says no, no more. Notice what distractions or doubts arise. Choose your weight. Carry with you a small weight, maybe a rock or a stone, to feel the sensation of burden and choice. When decisions are called for, reach for the stone and allow it to help guide you. How do you and the stone in your hand feel when you think of one decision versus the other? What differences can you identify? Schedule recovery. Schedule rest around effort. Recovery is necessary in this decan. It's part of pacing and building resilience. Trust the inner voice more than external reactions. Allow Jupiter's wisdom and guidance to come from within. And finally, the Sagittarius New Moon in the third decan doesn't promise an easy start, but it offers something far more valuable for us, the chance to align effort with meaning from the beginning in a sacred, intentional action. It demands that we show up, not only for others, but for our own deepest truths. It is call to carry what matters and let go of what doesn't. With fire in our hearts and snow at our feet, we press on, because what awaits is not just the success we might dream of, but soul alignment. Allow this new moon to help you discern what needs to be carried forward now. Carry the load, but only what really matters to you now. Everything else can be left in the snow. The invitation now is to choose what truly deserves that endurance. Stay in the moment with yourself, burn bright, and finish strong. How I can support you. If you want help understanding how this new moon activates your chart or how to work with other moon families in your personal cycle, you can book a natal or a year ahead reading at celestiaastrology.com. Just let me know in the intake form that you're interested in exploring either significant moon families coming up for you or past significant events that you'd like to see if they link in a moon family. You can upgrade your Substack subscription to join Celestia Circle for monthly moon family guidance and support, workbooks, and new moon astro mindfulness. If you want to invest in yourself, you can explore astro coaching if you're navigating a longer-term transformation or decision. You don't have to carry the next 27 months alone. I'm here to walk this path with you. And as I said earlier, if you don't know the decans of your sun, moon, or rising, just comment with Decans and I will ask privately for your birth details to give you this information so you can follow your own moon families. Travel well, friends.